Amy, thank you for joining us.
That's no problem at all. Always happy to be here.
So, we're going to talk a little bit about third-party risk and some of the things that you're seeing from your clients. So, tell us a little bit about what you're hearing.
So I think predominantly for me, so I work for a pen testing company called Cognisys. So predominantly for me, from that kind of pen testing angle, what I'm finding is a lot of our clients, they are the third-party risk because they consider themselves to be too small to get hacked, which we all know is not really true. So I've got a couple of customers that they're probably around the 250 seat marks. They're not tiny, but they're supplying to like critical national infrastructure, and they're saying that they're too small to get hacked. And I'm like, but this is why you're the third party risk, because you're the entry point for attackers to get into kind of your client base. So I think that's kind of what I'm seeing, a lot of customers not understanding how that whole supply chain attack kind of works, and not realizing that they're part of that attack, that they're kind of part of that chain.
That's really interesting. And are you seeing any pressure coming down from their clients to them that they need to now start taking security more seriously?
I think we have been doing, I mean, I only started in this industry kind of in January, but the customers that I'm talking to, they're all kind of looking towards, I mean, Cyber Essentials seems to be the standard that a lot of customers, a lot of kind of my clients' customers are asking for. Whether that is the answer to them not being a third party risk, that's a whole other podcast. But yeah, I think they are kind of trying to crack down on it and trying to put at least some standards in place to try and make sure that their suppliers are more secure. But yeah, how seriously everyone's taking it, I'm not sure. I think a lot of people see it as kind of a tick box exercise so that they can get the contract. Which isn't necessarily the way that we want to sell it, or necessarily the way that we want to work with customers. We always want to make sure they're, doing the right things rather than ticking a box that says they're doing the right things.
And that's really interesting because Cyber Essentials, it gets a bad name, but it's a good place to start if you're small. It's a good baseline to build from.
I think the Cyber Essentials Plus is a good place to start. Cyber Essentials Basic, I know loads of people who take they take more than 3 months. They have to sometimes resit the basic certification again, sorry, because they've not got the stuff in order. I nearly swore then, sorry. They've not got their ducks in a row to be able to go through that pen test piece. But for me, if you've got Cyber Essentials Basic and you've answered all the questions truthfully, then you should be able to just have the vulnerability scan the next day and we would be able to pass you. But apparently that's not what a lot of organizations do.
No, and I think that's where the bad reputation comes from, isn't it? And that's part of the problem I think we see in the supply chain too, exactly what you've just said, that yes, their customers are asking, but they're seeing it as a tick box exercise.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's the kind of mentality that we need to try and change. If I'm talking to customers and they're just seeing it as a tick box exercise, quite frankly, the kind of customers that I don't really want to work with, because I'm interested in working with people who are genuinely interested in improving their cybersecurity and kind of proactively stopping attacks happening, rather than just saying, oh, I've got this policy and I'm going to stick it in a cupboard for next year until someone asks me about it again. Which, I mean, it's the same with a lot of compliance standards. You see it with stuff like ISO 27001 as well, where people say, oh, we've got this policy, and you're like, well, has anyone read it? Does anyone do anything about it? Do you enforce it through the year? And it's like, no, we just wait till the auditors come back in and just grab it out of the cupboard again, and there we go, tick box done.
And I think that's a real worry, that actually that's what we're seeing, that the end clients are looking for. They're looking for certifications and questionnaires, and they're not, particularly for critical suppliers, kind of going a little bit deeper and trying to find out a little bit more about what's going on.
Yeah, and I think it should be like when you have to get cyber insurance, they often ask you to get a pen test to prove that you're actually doing some of this stuff right. And I think if people ask their suppliers to prove that, I don't know, if they've read a pen test to make sure, they've actually got something in place that's proven the security, rather than it being Cyber Essentials Basic, where it is literally, I can print it off the computer, color it in and stick it on my own wall. If they actually asked for some actual proof, then I think we'd probably be in a better place, because people would have to actually take it seriously.
And when you introduce the concept to your customers, particularly those supplying to national infrastructure, Do they get it? Do they understand it and want to change, or is there still some resistance there?
I think quite a lot of them do understand. I think, well, yeah, so I think a lot of it does come from potentially a place of, I don't want to say ignorance, but it's just the fact that they've not really thought it through, or they've not seen that kind of attack happening before, or they're just not that tuned into kind of what's going on in the cybersecurity sphere. So I think once we do explain it to them, they kind of do start taking it a bit more seriously. And I know I've got a few customers now that are coming to us and asking for more pen tests. They're asking for internal tests, external tests, etc., rather than just standard cybersecurity basic, cyber essentials basic even. So yeah, I think there is a bit of a shift of mentality, but I think we kind of really need to expedite that to really make a change.
Now, you said something really good, I think just yesterday around pen test, like it's not everything in security. Like, what are you testing if you haven't put things in place? So what do you suggest to people that they get in place before they take that on?
Yeah, so I think that comment we were talking about was about people who want to come into the cybersecurity industry, and everyone wants to be a CISO or a pen tester. And I'm like, wow, that's not the only jobs, guys. Because if you've not got if you've not got someone who's proactively defending, well, I can easily sit and test you all you want, because I'll just get through straight away every time, because you haven't got anyone sat there who's sat in a SOC looking for intrusion, who's I don't know, who's putting identity and access management solutions in place so that you've got secure identity so you can't get phished. So that, I mean, there's loads of different roles out there that people need to be doing to kind of help defend their organizations, and it's not just all about offensive security. I think we really need to focus on the defense.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we do obviously threat intelligence as well as third-party risk. And, actually, there's loads of great jobs within both of those areas and many others that people should be considering.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So tell us a little bit more about some of the other stuff you have going on, because you have a very exciting day job, but then some very exciting other things that you do to support the industry too.
Yeah, so I head up the mentoring program at Caps Lock, which is a cybersecurity academy in the UK, which helps to reskill people, just from any role really, into cybersecurity. So the last group that I mentored, one was a composer and a music teacher, one was a store manager, a big retailer. There was a guy who'd just done a politics degree. There was like a software developer, and there was guys a chef as well. So there's like a really mixed bag of people coming in, all trying to get into the cybersecurity sphere. So it's really good to see how their transferable skills kind of translate into actually useful things in cyber. So Becky, who was a teacher, she's now working as a security awareness trainer, because she's got all the skills to teach. It was just the content that she needed to learn. So it's been really interesting to kind of see how people can transition from another industry into cybersecurity. Other stuff I'm doing, I'm the editor of the UK Haunted Hacker magazine, which is pretty exciting. So we've got some really cool stuff coming up for that in September, November and January. They're the issues I've planned so far. Hopefully they'll keep me in place till then. And then I run the Artificially Unintelligent Awards, which will be going on again next April, which is to try and combat all of these cybersecurity awards where people ask you to pay $2,000 for a table. We all got bored of that, so we just asked people to give money to charity, and they could get involved with the awards. So that was nice. And then I'm also doing a charity walking challenge called InfoStep, which is where there's 25 of us from information security. So there's people like Sarah Armstrong-Smith involved, there's Lisa Forte, Rob Newby, like loads of big names in cyber, and we're all trying to walk collectively 19,000 miles, which is the equivalent of going to Australia and back, to raise money for the Innocent Lives Foundation and the Cyber Helpline.
Amazing. I don't know how you have time to do anything else. And I love the whole caps lock thing as well, retraining people from different industries, because actually, if you've been a teacher and you now understand security, I mean, schools are one area where, we're really seeing a lot of attacks. And if you understand how a school works, like what a great way to be able to help them improve that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I mean about having all those transferable skills, so people have got a deeper understanding of the industry that they've come from, but they can use that to, I guess, contextualize the cybersecurity concepts for those particular industries. So I think, yeah, that's a really, it's really great set of skills that they've all got coming in.
Well, it feels like we're moving in the right direction.
Hopefully.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And yeah, good luck with walking to Australia.
Thanks. I need it.